All right, so quick work break to send out a motherfucking voice memo, baby. So a lot of you young closers, you don't realize the importance of pre-handling the objection. This is so massively important for two reasons. Number one, the first reason is obvious. It's that if you can hit the objection before it even comes up, you're going to be in a much better spot because it's going to feel to the client or the prospect, that you actually prescribe the solution. Here's an example. Let's say you go to the doctor, right? And then your knee hurts and the doctor's like, okay, bro, well, what's on your knee? And then you're like, well, I did this and that and this and that. And he's like, okay. And then, floating in the ether, there's a rumor going around that a pill named Shebang causes blood problems, right? So, and you know that, but you haven't thought about it, but you're in the fucking doctor's appointment anyway. And then he's like, okay, the doctor comes back and he's like, well, bro, I think the solution here is Shebang because of this and this and this reason. But then you're like, okay, well, I heard on the TV, Shebang did this and that and this and that with the blood. And the doctor's like, oh, yeah, don't worry about that. It's not a big deal. Okay, so what are you going to be thinking? You're like, well, fuck, Jesus, right? You're still going to be a little hesitant. But if the doctor was like, yeah, bro, honestly, with everything that you just fucking went through, if you get on Shebang, it's going to be an amazing it's going to be an amazing pill for your knee. All your problems are going to go away. Now, something that happens, though, a lot of people are concerned because they've heard things on the internet like, oh, Shebang causes these blood issues. I can tell you I've had thousands of patients. Nobody's ever had an issue, and I would never put any of my clients on that no matter what happened because I care about my clients. Boom. Now you give that motherfucker the pill that way, he's going to feel so good that he gave it to you. So the first thing is pre-handling makes the prospect, feel way more comfortable. Number two, and this is so fucking important, when you pre-handle the objection, you get to control the language. You get to control how the problem is set up, and then you get to solve it on your own. So the problem with objections on the back end of the call is you don't know how the fuck the client is going to ask the question. You can't control the language. When you hit it on the front end of the call, you have full control. You have the entire control of not only how the question is asked, but you can frame the question in a way that makes your answer super easy. So it's like, instead of the client being like, oh, well, I don't have enough money because I got to talk to fucking Dan, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, shit, Dan isn't even here. And now you're in a weird objection. Well, if you're like, hey, and a lot of my clients, they think, oh, I don't have money for this. But really, it's just X and X and X and X. Now you can get ahead of these things beforehand. So the reason pre-handling objection is so important is, number one, the prospect's going to feel better. But number two, you get to control the objection. You get to control the language. So you can ask yourself the question in a way that makes it easier to answer for yourself, if that makes sense. So it's a double whammy. So whenever you get an objection, fucking write it down, pre-handle it with a story, right? So if the objection is like, oh, well, the Shebang thing, let's say, oh, well, I really like the pill, but I'm just really freaked out about the blood thing, so I'm going to go do some research, right? And then you lose your prescription. Well, then sit down, write down what they said. Okay, they're freaked out about blood shit with the thing. Look up a bunch of studies online, and then build that story into your pitch. So now when you pitch, you're like, hey, I'm going to do this because this, and this. And also a lot of people are concerned about, blood problems in the thing, but guess what? It's nothing to worry about because this and this and this, and I do this and this and this. You have it solved. So pre-handle for success.